Well, this Wellness Wednesday, we're talking about suicide from the perspective of the loved ones of someone who may be at risk of taking their own life. We are diving into what signs you can look for and what you can do to help that person. So Mary Jo Horton, the manager of behavioral health at Memorial Health, is here. Hi, Mary Jo.
Hello.
So as always, you're going to walk us through this. So let's start with, you say, keep an eye on people in certain situations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to think about people in our lives who may be suffering at different stages. We want to think about people who are suffering from long-term critical illnesses that may become exhausting and really wear them down. We also want to think about people who've had something very acutely happen. And if they are in an age group of impulsivity like teens, or they've had a history of some impulsive behavior, we really want to think about them. And then, of course, people with recent loss.
And on the acute stress one, because that stress can trigger that impulsive behavior.
So what happens is, particularly this acute stress happens, and all of a sudden you're not thinking clearly, you're not thinking through things, that anxiety gears up, and then all of a sudden you may act impulsively, particularly with teens and younger folks, and they end up doing something that may cause them a lot of harm when they wouldn't have done that if they would have thought it through.
And real quick, I want to hone in on that last point on the screen there. People with recent loss need special attention because you often hear a partner dies and then the other one may lose the will to live, but this is more than that, right?
Absolutely. You want to think about if somebody has just had a massive recent loss, they've lost their job, their living situation has changed, and yes, losing someone they love, something in which they're part of their identity and what connects them to who they are is gone. They feel such a sense of disconnection with understanding, who am I now?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about signs, signals, and alerts. What should we look for in someone that we think might be suicidal?
So let's just kind of go through those categories. When we're looking at somebody who's had a long-term illness, we want to see if they've had a change and all of a sudden they're euphoric and really happy. They're giving things away. They start talking about themselves as if when they're no longer here. That's a big sign that something's changed.
So that's a hard one because you think the person, if they're exhibiting signs of happiness, you think, oh, well, maybe they're okay. They're working through it.
Yes, but unfortunately what happens is sometimes they've come to a point where they've accepted that they want to go and not be here any longer, and it provides them a sense of temporarily emotional relief.
All right, language that includes methods of possible harm.
Yeah, so once we start hearing people actually talk about, weapons or things of harm, or they start talking about medication, or they start talking about driving off and never being here. Those types of language, when they go from I'm tired to I'm exhausted, or they say things like it will be better when, we want to be mindful of that.
And then you say, watch for people who are re-engaging in risky behavior, like substance use, isolation.
Yes, so not just the substance use. Clearly, if somebody had a good period where they weren't using substances and it's returned, we really want to intervene. And not just isolation, like not getting out of their home, but also social isolation. If they've started to withdraw from activities we know they love.
All right, so you notice one or more of these signs in someone you know, someone you love. When should you seek help?
So first, we want to be communicating with that person. We want to be seeking help when their safety can no longer be talked about. They can no longer say, when I'm having these feelings, this is how I'm going to keep myself safe.
Okay.
And ultimately, when we feel like we don't know what to do.
And you say they need to be able to verbalize a safe plan. So what do you mean by a safe plan?
So people can have suicidal thoughts and not be unsafe. We want people to feel comfortable saying, I have suicidal thoughts. They become unsafe when they can't say, when I'm unsafe, these are the things I'm going to do to maintain my safety. I'm going to call somebody. I'm going to let somebody hold my medication. I'm going to make sure I show up every morning to this particular meeting or group. When they can't do that back end, now we should really be concerned.
And then I love what you say, so this third point here, when you need guidance, reach out. Yeah.
We don't need to be doing these things on our own. We don't need to be taking the burden of trying to love people on our own. We want to model good connection and say, hey, I want to best support you. I don't know how. Let's reach out together and talk to someone.
Yeah. All right, Mary Jo, you and I have such important conversations on these Wellness Wednesdays. I think this is one of the most important because so many people know someone in their life who may be going through some kind of crisis like this.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, we want to show people we care and we want to surround them with love, and we just need to talk about ways in which that's going to be most helpful.
All right. Thank you for helping us do that, Mary Jo. And once again, if you are in crisis, having suicidal thoughts, or you know someone who is, you can call that National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, that number 988.